So we just did a, I don't know, a handful, 5 or 6 pulls with the Datsun. So, anyways, when I'm doing one of these by myself and don't have anybody else to drive the vehicle, I'll more often than not just park it just behind the rear rollers and then ratchet it forward with the front straps to get it where I want it, as opposed to trying to set my chocks in the exact proper place. Yeah. One of the main considerations when doing this is knowing where the brake lines are and just anything else that can be crushed if it's in the way. This one's pretty easy by itself as far as strapping down, but as they get newer and there's more and more electronics and pickups that go to the rear end, ABS and speed sensors and such. Just more and more stuff you gotta be careful of, and sometimes it can limit just where you can put your strap. Sometimes you end up on the outside of the leaf. Sometimes, like with this one, you can be right on either side of the differential. The dyno came with some fancier straps, but I have lost track of them over the years, so these regular polyester slings are plenty strong enough for this vehicle anyways. Tension is about even on them. Let me go up front and put a couple more clicks on the front straps. We'll let her warm up for a minute before we start just doing some easing into the power to keep an eye on the air-fuel ratio and such. So we just did a handful, sitting there doing the run, and I'm thinking, man, this thing's acting like a dog. Just taking way too long to finish the run, you know, RPM sweep, and get out of the truck and look around. I think, wondering if I got something wrong with the computer, and then I realized that I hadn't unlinked the all-wheel drive portion of the dyno, and so unlinked it, did a couple runs. It's getting pretty warm. It's got a decent amount of heat soak, so I'm letting her cool off right now. I'm about to take my, well, first look at this, the Holly Sniper tuning program. Most anything you want to do can be done on the handheld, but to look at other things, it will data log for you. Okay, looking at our data log here, the run itself wasn't the highest horsepower one, but looking at it, everything seems to be in order. Looking at RPM, and it ran out. This is actually a pretty easy to use interface. Let's see. On the run, I went out to 6,290 RPM, and you can see everywhere under the acceleration curve, this upper line here, bluish aquamarine line, is the AFRs, so we can see that they're richening them up as I get into the run, and then this green line that dips down and back up is the ignition timing, which is doing what it's supposed to do, just retarding it throughout the run. Looking at our map sensor, on the display it only reads out in kilopascals, so I had to do a little bit of conversion. And at peak boost, I'm getting 18.4 pounds of boost, which is absolute. So you have to remove or subtract the 14.7 of atmospheric pressure, and we end up with a whopping 3.7 pounds of boost, which has a lot to do with the fact that my supercharger pulley is actually an underdrive pulley. A lot of stock pulleys are probably in the 6 to 7 or maybe even 8-inch range, and this one is just under 6 at about 5.8, I believe. And this is the smallest supercharger pulley that's in the Summit catalog anyways, that you might be able to get custom diameters. That's the smallest one, so at this point I'm kind of stuck with 3.7 pounds of boost, which is a little disappointing. It'd be nice to be hitting 5 or even 7. I know it's not a whole lot more, but based on the increase in horsepower and torque at just 3.7 pounds, I think 5 or 7 would make it a holy terror. I got the best of my naturally aspirated runs compared to the best of these few runs that I did, and I ended up with a gain of 55 horsepower and a 58 pound-feet of torque. So for not quite 4 pounds of boost, it's definitely making a difference. I may just leave it like this. I can mess with the timing a little bit, but since the bottom end of this motor is all cast, you know, it's nothing special, it's probably best that we're only getting less than 4 pounds of boost. It definitely feels quite a bit different than when it was naturally aspirated. I've got a couple ignition or fueling issues. It's wanting to die at like steady state running, whether it's down the highway or idling. I don't know if it's loading up and trying to die on me or what. I need to pull the plugs and see if they're fouled, but overall fairly happy with the result. We're getting some clouds rolling in, so I might dog it off for today and then do a little bit of thinking and maybe changing some ignition or boost offsets and go at it again. But pretty happy with what I ended up with at this point. Okay, we've done a couple runs already, and Datsun was getting pretty warm, and the supercharger was getting a decent amount of heat soak. So we let it cool off a little bit, and we're gonna go for one more run and see if we can better our highest numbers of the day.